So starting off right away, the first thing we're going to be doing for this look is sticking on the cone on your head. And to do that, I used liquid latex. And I accidentally got some in my hair, so I was freaking out a bit, but you don't want to do that. So I figured an easier way to do it, because I didn't have enough space, is starting by sticking some cotton on the side, which is going to look like ice cream, kind of. And then I used that cotton, I kind of used the cotton to stick it to my head, and I didn't stick it as close to my hair. Yeah, and then everything is liquid latex for the cone part, and then I'm just putting some more cotton on top in spots that I felt were a bit sparse, as well as helping the cotton stick. So next, going in with some white face paint, I'm going to be sketching out kind of the 3 layers of dripping ice cream that I wanted, and I'm just kind of using them as a guide, so it's easier after when I go in and paint them. So once you decide which colors that you want for each of the flavors, you can go ahead and paint each of the sections. I didn't end up filming the 2 other sections just because it's just basically filling them in. So I went with pink as the first layer, white, and then the last one I ended up mixing together a purple. So you're not going to see me actually painting them, but that's kind of what I did. Oh yeah, and don't forget to cover in the cotton, because that's also acting as your ice cream, the initial more solid pieces that hadn't melted yet. So next I'm just taking a translucent powder and setting my entire face, just so when I add the shadows on top, which we will be doing after, they'll be easier to blend out. Also, to get our base for the cone, I just mixed together some of my yellow face paint with red to kind of make a creamy orange, and then I set that as well. So starting right away with my eyes, I kind of wanted it to make everything kind of cohesive with the colors that I was using, so I did go in with some pink, some bright pink, as you can see. And it is going to be a cut crease look, or half cut crease look, which you'll see right here. So I'm just kind of building in that depth. So I started with the brightest pink, and then I went to a kind of more dark pink, even adding a little bit of purple just to deepen up the crease. So to cut the crease, I started off with my Kat Von D Lock-It Concealer, but you'll see after I do go in with some white face paint just to kind of brighten it up a little bit more. And then of course I set that with powder because it's not the same as eyeshadow, so I need to set it in place so it doesn't smudge and stuff. And here with some purple under the waterline, I'm just going to be smoking that out underneath. Again, going with the same kind of color scheme to keep it all cohesive. So yeah, taking the lighter pink and then the dark pink again. It's a little bit darker than the one I use in my crease, but it's like a half cut crease, so I'm just taking it from the outer corner and blending it to about halfway, and then using the lighter pink closer towards my inner corner of my eye. So if you've watched my other tutorials before, you'll see that a lot of the times when I do my looks, I prefer to use face paint when I'm making my eyeliner, just for the purpose of taking off the makeup at the end of the night. But again, if it's something you're going to be wearing all day or at night, then obviously I would go with eyeliner, so it's just much long lasting. But for the purpose of this video, I just went with face paint. So now, to give this face paint some more dimension, I am going to be adding some darker shadows. So the easiest way to explain this is I go with the darkest purple to shade out the purple, and I'm just going along the edges of all kind of like the guide that I did of the drip, and it's going to be the exact same thing for the pink. Only thing with the white that's going to be different, it's going to be kind of like a more brown, like taupey color, just because, you know, you still want some shadow on top of the white as well. Really focusing on the edges, because you want to look as if it's sitting on top versus it being kind of flat, if that makes sense. Also, if you find that your shadows aren't dark enough, you can sometimes take whichever pink you have and mix in a little bit of black, but not too much, because you don't want it to become like too intense, or like you don't want it to look black, but it's just to help darken the shade. So for the cone part, we're going in with the Morphe 35O palette, which I forgot to show which color I'm using, but basically any brown will do. I just went through all the browns. Some of them were more like orangey toned, and I'm just sketching out like kind of like say like a grid, but like you want to do it on a slant kind of, so like diagonally across, and that's just going to serve as my base. Now going in with my white face paint, I'm just kind of coloring in those squares that I have. But if you can tell, they're kind of like on an angle, so they're not completely filled in, just more kind of like the lower left corner, if that makes sense. So now, because I've already done the highlights of the cone, I'm just outlining or going over the lines, as well as adding some shadow. You're going to want to put this in the top right corner just to make them look like they're a bit like sunken in and add some more dimension, and any matte brown will work for this. There's no like specific color. It's like, oh, and you're also going to want to add it underneath the drips, so like underneath the purple, because underneath there's just concealer, so for dimension, and I also went underneath the pink for that as well. So to make my sprinkles, I just took a really skinny brush and dipped it in some white face paint and went over top with some eyeshadow, which you didn't show. And for my lips, I didn't have a color that I wanted, so I actually mixed my own color using face paint of like a mint green, and then topped it off with some like nude gloss. Alright, so that is my finished look. I'm actually really excited about this one. It was so much fun and a little bit out of my comfort zone, kind of, because I've never played around with as bright colors yet, but it was definitely something fun to do. And yeah, if you did enjoy it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, make sure you click my subscribe button. Bye.